So much severe weather occurs in Oklahoma.
Each and every spring, different types of air converge right here in green country. Now, cold air moves in from the north, more moist air flows up from the south, and hot, dry air blows in from the desert southwest. Now, mix these together with the jet stream, and Oklahoma finds itself under a perfect storm of weather conditions. Now, together, they can lead from everything from flash flooding to hail, but of course we know the most dangerous storms turn into tornadoes. Now, they are born when colliding cool, warm, and moist air masses generate powerful updrafts that literally suck air from the ground. Now, as the air rises, it swirls due to the rotating forces within the storm and surrounding the storm. But it's not until the water vapor condenses into clouds that the tornado's funnel becomes apparent. Then, when the twister reaches the ground, dirt and debris gets sucked into it, making the tornado visible to the naked eye.
Well, the vast majority of tornadoes do relatively little damage, but a select few can flatten houses and pick up cars. Now, this time last year, a Dewey man learned that lesson the hard way as wicked weather moved through northeast Oklahoma. Saturday, April 19th, 2003. As our storm spotters watch, trouble develops in the skies over Osage County. Rotation leads to lowering wall clouds and worsening conditions. Soon, the storm grew into a monster that nearly covered the horizon.
When it came down over this hill, it was big enough I couldn't see it. I mean, I was just in it.
That tornado swept through Justin Harger's ranch with a fury. Now, he rode out part of that storm in his pickup truck as he moved it inside to protect it against hail. Amazingly, Justin lived to tell us this story.
First, you're thinking, man, I need to get my seatbelt on to keep from getting sucked out of this pickup. And I put my seatbelt on, and then it was pretty much time to pray for a little bit.
The tornado tossed Justin's truck around like it was a toy. Seconds later, high winds obliterated the barn it was parked in, leaving Justin without cover.
So I ran down here and hopped in this shelter in time to watch the roof go off the old two-story and the propane tanks go by.
Then just like that, it was over.
Okay, you walk out. What do you see?
Everything was pretty much gone or messed up pretty good.
Damage wasn't limited to just his home and barns. He had livestock spread all over. He lost several cows and 20 calves that he never found. And many of the animals were injured. One of Justin's horses is still recovering today.
The fact is, he's in way better shape now than he was even last fall.
In the last year, a lot of work has been done on the Harger Ranch. Unfortunately, most of it had to be done with a bulldozer.
And I ran it for a solid month almost, just pushing debris and stuff out of the way. There's trash everywhere still. You just can't get it all, it seems like.
Most of Justin's farm equipment was destroyed as well, but he's learning to make some of it work again. Now, as long as the weather holds up, well, his feed truck works just as well without a roof. And though the tornado cleanup continues still a year later, Justin expects everything's going to turn out okay in the end.
Basically, it comes down to your friends and your neighbors who are going to donate some labor to you, and you just suck your bootstraps up and go from there.
The tornado that ripped through the Harger Ranch traveled 20 miles that day. Now, it was on the ground for more than 30 minutes. The storm injured 3 people, and it caused more than $1.9 million in damage. Well, meteorologist Taft Price joins me now. And Taft, I tell you what, that Dewey tornado, that caused a lot of damage, but it could have been a lot worse.
Well, that's right, Trav. Folks in and around the Oklahoma City area, they know that all too well. 5 years ago, they experienced one of the worst tornado outbreaks in history. On May 3rd, 1999, more than 70 tornadoes cut through central Oklahoma. The storms killed 40 people and destroyed hundreds of homes and businesses. Much of the damage centered around the city of Moore. In a matter of minutes, an F5 tornado reduced many neighborhoods there to rubble. Even now, on the 5th anniversary of that storm, families continue to rebuild both their homes and their lives.
And it looks like they're getting ready to maybe start a house and get rebuilt here.
These days, there's still a lot of construction work going on in Moore. It's been 5 years since Mother Nature cut a devastating path through the city, and many scars are still visible today. They're actually leaning off to the east.
Some it tore up and some it didn't.
The trees aren't the only ones lucky to survive. Randy and Patty Thurman were also in the path of the May 3rd tornado. They took cover with their son in a closet as the storm closed in.
The path came right through here and then went right through that way.
It sounded literally like 1,000 golf balls going through your windows. And then, you know, the whole freight train thing, yes, it's true, but I remember more the shredding and the just shattering.
And minutes later, everything was gone.
It looked like it just took the house and just went like that.
The storm ripped the Thurmans' home apart in seconds, but amazingly, the family suffered only minor injuries. Their neighbors were not all so fortunate.
It looked like the walking wounded. I helped this neighbor out of her house. She had walls that were almost ready to cave in on her. It was just mass chaos.
That chaos lasted weeks as the Thurmans and others sifted through what was left of their neighborhood. A couple months later, only slabs were left. Some plots are still bare today.
And there's still some houses in the addition that haven't built back up yet for a number of reasons, no telling what that is.
As for the Thurmans, they've rebuilt a home not far away, and this time they're prepared for the worst.
It's a 8-inch thick steel reinforced concrete bomb shelter, basically.
The family's new storm shelter is packed with all the essentials like water and flashlights. Family photos are also stored there too. But these tattered images aren't the only reminder of the ordeal the Thurmans survived. They still have a scrap of carpet from the first house, the only piece that was left after the tornado moved through.
Yeah, we feel like it really does tell the story that this is where we were sitting, and it survived along with us.
There's nothing left but a 3x3 piece of carpet, and that's where we are on top of the carpet. 3 of us coming out of that with minor cuts and bruises. What are the odds of that?
The Thurmans definitely beat the odds, but sometimes the weather can too. Last year, the city of Moore was hit again, almost 4 years to the day after the May 3rd tornado. The storm was an F4, a bit smaller than the May 3rd storm, but it still caused a lot of damage. More than 45 people were injured, but luckily no one was killed. Damage estimates ran nearly $350 million. And Trav, that is a lot of money.
Oh, no kidding. That is incredible. Thanks, Taft. Well, unfortunately, tornadoes aren't the only wicked weather Oklahomans have to worry about. In fact, lightning and flash floods are more dangerous, and they affect a lot more people.
Trav. Lightning forms. Negatively charged electrons high in a cloud begin to zigzag down. As they near the ground, they attract positive charges up. As they come together, a powerful electric current begins flowing. This contact begins the return stroke, which is an intense wave of positive charges moving up at about 60,000 miles per second. And this stroke is visible light. Now, this process can repeat several times along the same path, usually in less than half a second. And that's what makes lightning flicker. But the speed of lightning bolts can also be deadly. We recently spent a day in Eufaula where we learned firsthand the power lightning can have.
Jason loved the sport of wakeboarding. I mean, he come out here and helped out and learned and wanted to be involved in wakeboarding, and, you know, everything was about wakeboarding. And
Jason, along with thousands of others, gathered each August for an annual wakeboarding festival here on the waters of Lake Eufaula, soaking up the summer sun and watching the best wakeboarders around.
It was just an average day. It was on a Friday night, so I've been working that day and came out here after work, and it was, I'm guessing, around 7 o'clock at night or so.
With the wakeboard event in full swing and the excitement growing, few gave notice to the storms passing in the distance, though event promoter Sammy Roberts was keeping a close eye on things.
Nobody was really alarmed that we were in danger or in trouble at the time. I just made the decision to go ahead and hook the PA system back up and get the bands to start playing, and as the crew was doing that, the lightning struck.
That single bolt from the blue hit Jason Bartlett while he walked across the parking lot.
At the instant that happened, I mean, you could feel the hair on your arms and the back of your neck and everything. I mean, just right before that hit.
Marlene Blue was first to react.
Of course, I yelled for my husband, and he came back, and you know, I started yelling for a cell phone.
Bob Foreman, standing only a few feet away, made a frantic call for help.
I got a cell phone. I couldn't get any response out of the cell phone. It said no signal, no service. And then finally, I got a hold of Deputy Rhodey Bush.
Deputy Rhodey Bush had just left when he got a call for help and quickly returned to Peters Point.
As I was pulling up, I saw Mr. Bartlett lying on the ground. I pulled up approximately 30 yards from where he was laying. Assessed the situation best I could from my patrol car.
Despite his efforts and those of emergency crews, Jason Bartlett died. Deputy Rhodey Bush feels there's a lesson we can all learn from this tragedy.
He got killed out here just And it could happen that fast to anybody. People need to pay attention to the weather.
While lessons were learned from Jason's death, close friend April Roberts remembers his life.
I've learned a lot from knowing that it's important that we live life to the fullest every day. And I think he was a very good picture of that.
Deadly lightning strikes are rare, but they can happen almost anywhere at any time. The best way to protect yourself is to stay indoors while storms are in the area. And of course, we'll have the latest information as severe weather develops. Folks should keep their TVs tuned right here on News Channel 8.
All right. Well, thank you, Frank. Appreciate that. Lightning is the second most deadly event, but we still haven't talked about the number one. It costs billions every year and is the number one weather-related killer. Flooding is next.
Covering breaking news with Ranger 8 Sky Tracker. An aerial view like never before. Detailed 3D maps, pinpointing precise locations. Watch as we take you from downtown Tulsa.
Well, we all know tornadoes get a lot of attention here in Oklahoma, but surprisingly, they're not the most dangerous form of wicked weather.
Flooding actually causes more property damage than anything else but fire. It also takes more lives than all other types of severe weather combined. In early March, cities such as Bartlesville, Skiatook, and Bixby saw massive flooding. Some areas got up to 5 inches of rain in just 2 days. High water turned entire neighborhoods into lakes. Even some porches served as boat docks. Unfortunately, many floods strike without any warning, and flash flooding can make roadways treacherous fast. No matter what you're driving, high water always wins.
It's not a road, it's a river.
This isn't the first time Don Brantley has been down this road. Driving to work just 12 hours earlier, he met Mother Nature's wrath by surprise.
I was coming up the road here and going about 40, 45, and all of a sudden there was a big wave of water. I was right in the middle of it.
There were no signs, no warning. Just like that, a wall of water forced Donald out of the driver's seat and took his truck for a ride.
Once I got out of the truck, it started to float, and as it floated, it started to turn and turn back around the opposite direction that it was going, and by that time it was just too late.
Donald's truck was among the heaviest on the roads. Still, it was no match for floodwaters.
Yeah, it's totally.
His truck was lost, but the lesson was not.
If I'd have known that there was this much water up here, I never would have even attempted it.
The next day in Skiatook, Ida Lloyd learned that lesson the hard way. As we watched from Ranger 8, she met high water head on and just kept going. At times, the water reached up over her hood and nearly made it to the windshield. Ida's car eventually stalled, and she was rescued minutes later by 2 good Samaritans.
She was following us through there, and then got swept off, so we stopped and picked her up.
It just kept getting higher. They came along just in time.
Ida was lucky she lost her car, but not her life.
Will you ever do that again?
No.
Now here's a look at the most flooded areas in and around Tulsa. People living near Bird, Polecat, and Mingo Creeks need to be especially careful during heavy thunderstorms. Now let's look at the danger zones outside the metro area. The Deep Fork, Caney, Illinois, Neosho, and Verdigris rivers flood almost yearly. Folks living in these areas should use extra caution when there's heavy rain.
Oh, no doubt about it. Thanks, Mike. All right, wicked weather is certainly dangerous, but early warnings can save lives. When we come back, we'll show you the tools we use to track storms even before they develop.
Tracking weather is how Oklahoma's News Channel 8 brings you coverage you can count on.
There's such a threat across our area. You must have the best people and the best equipment to accurately predict and cover storms. Frank?
Since technology changes so quickly, we're always upgrading our computers and other tools to make sure you have the best information. Our best resource sits high above the station on Lookout Mountain. Using sound waves, our Doppler radar can detect storms hundreds of miles away in every direction. Any disturbance our radar finds shows up in real time as live Doppler 8000.
News Channel 8 Storm Tracker and Future Scan technology gives us an extra edge when live Doppler 8000 picks up storms in our area. It automatically calculates the location, path, and speed of moving storms. Storm Tracker allows us to tell you exactly when wicked weather will arrive at your front door, and Future Scan shows us what it will look like by the time it gets there. This extra technology also helps us determine what kind of storm we're dealing with. From the size of hail to wind speed, Storm Tracker has it all.
Our radar data can also be processed through our Live Viper Tornado Tracker. It combines live Doppler 8000 with the government's network of weather radars. This allows Live Viper to display storms in 3 dimensions and in real time. Live Viper can also lock onto areas of wind circulation or shear that often produce wind damage and even tornadoes.
All right, thanks, guys. And as you can see, there's a lot of technology in this weather office, but our resources aren't limited to just what you see here. In fact, our First Alert Storm Team can also tap into a regional network of radars. Now, this allows us to share critical weather information with our colleagues in Oklahoma City, Lawton, Fort Smith, Joplin, and Wichita. This information, coupled with our advanced technology, enables us to inform you with the fastest and most accurate information available. This gives you extra time to make sure that you have those very safe, important decisions covered. Now, that's it for tonight. Thanks for watching, and remember, when severe weather is in your area, keep it here on Oklahoma's News Channel 8. We'll keep you advised.